No Kiffin, no problem. Our coach is really that important. Our hire is really that important in the day of NIL. Let's jump into it. We got our top tiered coaches hired of this season. Starting off in tier one, I have the man himself, the legend, Lane Kiffin. I don't know what's more popular right now, his Instagram stories or his on-field coaching or his drama with Ole Miss. But anywhere he goes, he wins, except for Tennessee, apparently. But 100% A plus hire for LSU. They have the swagger. They have the energy to match Kiffin. After that, I'm going to go with Franklin. Frank, I know what you guys are going to say. Penn State didn't win anything, but he's a winner. He wins the game. Did he win the big games? No. But who else was VTech going to get? Franklin is a plus hire. Then I have Eric Morris, Oklahoma State. It's been so long. They've been stuck in mediocrity with Van Gundy. Morris is the way to go. He's bringing in all his UNT players. I'm very excited to watch. And then after that, here's one that you guys might disagree with, especially you, Nate. Will Stein, tier one. The man. When UCF was hiring Scott Frost, when UCF was hiring Gus Malzahn, this is the guy I wanted. Who doesn't like watching Oregon? And look at the quarterback he's pulling. Look at the receivers he's pulling in the portal. Kentucky doesn't have LSU money, but they're doing it. I have faith in this man. Who you got, Nate, in your tier one?
All right, so my tier one is similar, but a little bit smaller. At the top, there's really no other option that you can go with besides Lane Kiffin. He's an easy number one for me. Look what this Ole Miss team that he built is doing in the playoff right now. This isn't by accident, and now he's going to a more prestigious program that has the resources, has the history. I think he's going to ball out at LSU. My number two, I'm in agreement with you right here. It's James Franklin. I think this is a slam dunk hire for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has been in mediocrity for a while. A couple bad hires with Pry, which is very funny now that he's going to be their defensive coordinator, and Fuente before him. Franklin, he's great. Yeah, you can argue that he's not winning the big one. Virginia Tech would kill to be in a position where it matters if they win the big one or not. Like this Virginia Tech team, they win 5, 6, maybe 7 games a year if they're lucky. They would kill for this 10 wins that Franklin pumps out year to year. He knows how to recruit the DMV really well. I think it is a slam dunk hire for them. And that's it for my tier one. I've just got those two. I think they're kind of in a class above everyone else in this hiring cycle. The other names that you mentioned, Stein and Morris, you'll hear those from me shortly. But that's my tier one right there. Who you got in tier two?
We both said Franklin can't win the big one. What is the big one in the ACC? Miami and what? I can't think of another game at the moment.
No, the big one will just be going to ACC championship games and putting them in contention for the playoff, which, again, Virginia Tech has not been in that conversation for a while.
Don't lose to Duke, apparently. That's all it takes.
I'm here in the state of Virginia. There's buzz. The Hokies are ready to come back, especially with the season that UVA just had. Virginia Tech needs to take and what JMU just did, Virginia Tech needs to take the state back.
All right, my next tier is going to be a little bit more safer. Matt Campbell. Great replacement for Penn State. He did a lot of good work at Iowa. I know you might be a little bit higher on him. I think his ceiling is a little capped, or at the very least, we're not sure what his ceiling is, because at the end of the day, Iowa State is Iowa State. Location-wise, not the most lucrative. Money-wise, probably not competing with LSU. But hey, Judge is still out on him. That's my to start off tier two. After that, I got Kyle Willingham. How does Michigan go from having 2 scandals in less than, 28 months to hiring Kyle Willingham? That's a win. That's got to feel good for the Michigan faithfuls. I don't know how else to put it. That's a great hire, especially given the position they're in. He's a bit older, but I think he's still got stuff to prove for sure, especially the way he left Utah. After that, Brian Hartline. Look, as you can see, I'm a UCF guy, but I got to hand it off to USF. He is a great recruiter. Ohio State might as well be the old Miami wide receiver U, LSU wide receiver U. They're on that level, and it's because of Hartline. So I'm really excited to see what he can do over across the courtyard for I-4. And lastly, John Summerall. A little bit unorthodox. He got a little bit swagger, a little bit more hip to him. I'm not sure if Florida's the right place, but if I think he has as good of a chance as anybody else. I think Florida's problem mostly stem from within. I'm not sure where the NIL stand, but they made some good hires. They have a GM. I think John Rummel has a chance to succeed. Who you got in tier two, Nate?
So you're going to hear some of the same names from me again, and then some of the names you mentioned I have a lot lower on this list, specifically some names from the state of Florida. My number 3 coach, the top of tier 2 for me, is Whittingham. How does Michigan fumble everything so badly and still end up with an absolute stud in Whittingham? You said it already. He is older, which is a concern, but the dude wins. He's won constantly since he took over the job in Utah. He's been there for a while. Even this year, I was down on Utah, but they still were a top 20 team. It's hard to argue with the success that he's had. And now he's going to a program that has even more resources, a crazy amount of resources and support. I'm really excited to see what he does at Michigan. I think him leaving Utah was more about Utah just wanting to give the job to the next guy, their coach in waiting that they've had for a while. I think it's a slam dunk hire for them. Next up, you said his name already in your tier 1. I've got Morris over at Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's going to be good. They struggled a lot recently. This is a team that's had high aspirations and has had playoff hopes a few years ago. And now he's brought over pretty much his entire North Texas team. And there's some really good players that he's bringing. It's not just Mestamaker. It's running backs. It's receivers. It's defensive backs. He's building a great program. I think he's going to do really well over there at Oklahoma State. To round out tier 2 for me, another name that you said, it's another similar situation to Michigan. How does a team fumble so badly and still end up getting their guy? It's Matt Campbell at Penn State. I think Campbell's a good coach. Iowa State is historically one of the worst power conference teams in the country. If you look back, they are just historically horrendous. And what he did there is nothing short of spectacular. I know they didn't reach the playoff. But the expectations at Iowa State were not to reach the playoffs. It's not, the expectations there were win more than 2 games. I think he's going to do well with the resources at Penn State. He's similar to a lot of these guys. He's brought over what seems like his entire team with him over there. So he's going to have some familiarity to get himself started. I think he's set up to have a lot of success in a Big Ten that is very top heavy, but still has room for a Penn State to establish themselves as one of those teams in tier 2.
I'll say this. Matt Campbell, his ceiling is probably a lot less than, say, a Eric Morris. Now, the reason I say that is you know what you're going to get with him. He's I hate to say this, and Penn State is probably going to get on me for this, but I don't think he wins more games than Franklin. Same kind of coach. He's going to win a lot of games, but I don't know that he can win the game. And if you're not beating Ohio State, good luck.
And that
not beating Michigan, good luck.
He might not win more games. He probably won't. The Franklin situation, it's a sticky one. That was one that I don't necessarily think they handled things the right way, firing him 4 games into the season. But things weren't working. It was time. You needed something new. You couldn't keep running it back and trying the same thing over again. There's a point in time where you just have to take that chance. Georgia did the same thing with Mark Richt. Mark Richt was fantastic. Couldn't win the big one. Let Rick go, brought in Kirby Smart, and look at that. The Dogs won back-to-back national championships, first title since the 80s at Georgia. I'm not saying Campbell has that kind of success right away at Penn State, but there's a time where you just have to try something new.
I'll say to end on this note is Kyle Whittingham and John Summerall could not be any more different, but I bet you they have the same amount of success. There's more than one way in this stage of NIL to find success, and that should be something that everyone should be hopeful for. To round out my last tier, and I have a couple more after that, it's going to be Billy Napier, a good old friend at UF. And then after that, Alex Golish. Now, I am not very high on Golish at all. USF, yes, they won some games. Great. But the American lost his top half of the team. They had a home run path to making the playoffs, and they didn't. And that, again, good coach. I just don't know if he's going to have that much success in Auburn. That's a hard place to win at, especially given that you're in the SEC. And then after that, I have Huff from Memphis. It's under the radar name, but I'm very, very high on him. And after that, Chansey going to UCLA. I'm high on him as well. I mean, he took over a program that had high expectation, albeit at the G5 level. But those expectations were there, and he not only met them, he exceeded them. They made the playoffs. That's got to come for something, and he's got a great quarterback to build with over there in UCLA. Are they going to win the Big Ten? No, probably not. But I definitely think they made a great hire in the position that they were in. And then I have Shepard at Oregon State. The guy knows offense. All he knows is offense. I don't know if he knows any defense. But in the West Coast, in that new conference, you need viewership, you need excitement, and offense gets you there. And I think he's got a great chance to do that. Who you got, Nate?
All right. So you just said a lot of names that are nowhere close to my big right here. I don't think Golish is a good hire. I don't think Napier is a good hire. One name that I do love that you mentioned is Charles Huff. My tier 3, it's going to be led off by Will Stein. You talked about him already. Really excited to see what he can do at Kentucky. I don't want to see him do too well in the SEC, but we'll see. Sounds like they might be willing to spend some money. If they bring in Sam Levitt, we'll see what he can do over there. Right behind him, here's a little bit of an off-the-wall name for you. Jim Mora got the job at Colorado State. Jim Mora quietly built UConn into a very good team the last couple of years after they did literally nothing but lose previously to that. I know Mora feels like a weird fit given his age and his NFL background, but the guy was winning a lot at UConn. I'm excited to see what he can do at Colorado State, a team that has produced some NFL talent recently. They're a little bit down. They were kind of stuck in a rut. I like Mora a lot. Right behind Mora, I've got a couple names that you've already mentioned. Bob Chesney at UCLA, Charles Huff at Memphis, and Summerall at Florida. You can't ignore what Chesney just did, taking JMU to the playoff. Charles Huff, he's bounced around a lot recently, but again, it's hard to argue with his success. He was great at Marshall. He brought his entire team with him to Southern Miss, won like crazy there, and now he goes to Memphis in a conference that is wide open for the taking. I think he's going to have a lot of success. And Summerall, I don't know what to make of Summerall. He had success at Tulane. He also has this holier-than-thou personality where he doesn't want to poach any of his guys from Tulane, doesn't want to poach any recruits. Sure, I'll believe it when I see it at Florida. If he's great, good for him. My tier 4 right here, I've got some a little bit more off-the-wall names. Colin Klein. Former Kansas State quarterback, going back to his alma mater to take over after being an assistant at Texas A&M. He's got Avery Johnson coming back next year, so excited to see what he can do as a running quarterback with a running quarterback. Let Avery Johnson use his legs. That's what makes him so dynamic. Right behind that, I've got Jimmy Rogers, replacing Matt Campbell at Iowa State. He won like crazy at the FCS level, jumped up to Washington State this past year and helped them win more games than people thought they would. I know they didn't have the best record, but if you look at what they did, they traveled all across the country. They played a lot of tough games against some really, really, really good teams. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do at Iowa State. He's bringing a bunch of guys with him as well. Right behind Rogers, I've got another Oregon assistant, Tosh Lapoy. He's going to be the head coach at Cal. He's got a great relationship with JKS, the stud freshman quarterback from Cal, who you might remember was committed to Oregon preseason before transferring to Cal. I'm excited to see what he does at that Cal program that I think has potential in a down ACC. Here's a name that you never thought I would mention that most viewers probably haven't even heard of before. It's Mike Jacobs. You might ask yourself, who is Mike Jacobs? He is the new coach at Toledo. Previous to Toledo, he's been at Mercer down to the FCS level and turned Mercer into a SoCon powerhouse. They made the playoff the last couple years. I really like him. I think he's going to do really well up there in Toledo. Last two names on my list. I don't know how you didn't mention this name. I don't know how he's kind of fallen this far, but Pete Golding. He deserves to be on this list. I know he's playing with Lane's guys, but he's won 2 playoff games so far, despite all the craziness that we've talked about, despite Lane leaving, all of the hubbub, all the different coordinators inside out. He's brought in some good assistants already for next year. I like what Golden's doing. The guys like him. The guys play hard for him. I saw a press conference with him talking about there's only a couple schools that have been consistent on defense for a few years now and will be in the future. And Ole Miss is one of them. He's been there for a while. He's been preaching the same system. To be honest, I kind of want to move him up higher right now, but I'm going to put him there. And then the last name in my tier list is Brian Hartline. Hartline can recruit. Can he coach? I don't actually know. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can. I'm curious to see if he can bring some talent down there to USF. I'm going to hold my horses on getting too excited about it, though. That's my tier list. I've got a couple more notable omissions that neither one of us mentioned that I think we need to at least say their names right here. Golish was one of them, but you did mention him. One of the worst hires in this cycle, I think, is Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas. Wasn't particularly good in Memphis, I don't think. Didn't really win. I thought Arkansas was going to be shooting a lot higher with this hire. I thought they were going to spend a lot of money and really go after something big, and I do not think Silverfield's the guy to do it. And then another name that I've gone back and forth on if it's a good hire or not, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State. He was unceremoniously ousted for the wrong reasons. Now we could say that at Northwestern. I know people love him. People have talked about him really well. But if you go back and look at it, Northwestern didn't win. I know they're historically bad and they won a little bit more with him there. But realistically, if he was putting up those type of win-loss seasons at Michigan State, would he still have a job? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, you hit it right on the money. For me, Fitzgerald and Silverfield are poor men of Alex Golish for the same reasons I mentioned. The American was wide open and he couldn't get it done. Memphis was competing day in and day out. And when UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, SMU, what were the Memphis doing? They were okay. They were good. They won the games they were supposed to. They definitely couldn't close it out. They had a chance to win the American and go to the playoffs themselves. They blew that. So Silverfield there. And then Fitzgerald is a super poor man's Campbell. Great guy at a program that doesn't historically win, kept them competitive here and there. But what's the ceiling? That ceiling never hit. He never competed for the Big Ten. Maybe once or twice had a couple of decent seasons. But I was very surprised that Michigan State went that route. But those are my takes on that. And I think one of the guys that we're both high on, and Memphis better enjoy his services while they can, is Huff, because I think he's going to get a P5 job more than everywhere he goes. Players love him.
Huff will not be at Memphis for long.
I agree 100%.
For good reason. He's a great coach. Like he's won everywhere he's been. He's brought his guys with him. I think he's going to have a lot of success with this Memphis team. I agree. It's not going to be too long before we see him taking the next step up into the big leagues with the P4.
I agree. Well, Nation, let us know who's on your list that we didn't put on here, and if you disagree with any of us, prove us wrong in the comments.